Well, good afternoon and welcome to Go for Lunch. Glad to have you here today. So we're going to talk about something that you may not be that aware of, and that is HomeKit 101, the ways that HomeKit and the Home app can improve your lifestyle. So this is Go for Lunch number 83. If you're new here, please type new in the comments so we can get to know you and welcome you to our community. I'm Roger Harmon with GoFor Technology, where we make your technology work for you. So this is going to be a prime example of that as we talk about HomeKit. And of course, the 101 means we're just going to start off with the basics, but this is not the end. It is just the beginning. Speaking of beginnings, I got interested in home automation many years, actually probably decades ago, with a system called X10. So X10 used plug-in modules that just plugged into your wall outlet, and then you would connect a lamp or whatever appliance you wanted to control to the bottom of the module. And then you had to have a separate controller that would talk through the house wiring system. So these work through the existing wiring in your walls in the house to control your different devices. So they had wired devices, then they came up with some wireless devices later on, and then eventually they got computer interfaces so you can control this from your different types of computers. So here's what the modules look like, and so these three here are plug-in modules, and this one was a light switch that you would actually replace with a light switch in your wall. So you could control the lights from the switch here as well as remotely with one of the controllers. Now, let me draw your attention to these two little circles here. So the way that you had to set these up is you had to assign an address to each device, a different unique address. So the top circle was letters, and the bottom circle was numbers. So this one could be A1, and then this one could be B2, and then when you got to the controllers, then you would assign each of those different numbers to one of the switches on the controller. So you can see this is a wired controller, so is the one on the right, and this one in the center here was actually a wireless controller that came later on. So here's some other wireless controllers, and as you can see, many different companies branded these. IBM, Radio Shack, Sears took these and put their own brand on the X10 devices. So that's how I got started in home automation. So they are still being used today, and I still have a bunch. If anybody wants any, I'll give you a really good deal. So, but we have progressed. So now we have HomeKit, which is the Apple home automation system. So HomeKit comprises of HomeKit devices and the Home app. So HomeKit is more secure than anything else on the market, at least at the moment, and we don't expect that to change anytime soon. So that's because of Apple's dedication to security. So we're not so sure about the security from Amazon and Google and SmartThings and some of the other companies out there, but we're pretty sure that Apple is going to keep our stuff safe. So let's do a little backstory. So I started working with a company called SmartThings. So SmartThings was founded by a man who had a cabin up in a ski area in Colorado, and then one day during the winter, all his pipes burst and flooded his cabin and cost him thousands and thousands of dollars because he didn't know about it for months until he came back in the spring or came back in the winter for a ski trip. I'm not sure when he came back, but when he came back, he was very unhappy to see all the damage that had been done from the water that came from a pipe that froze and burst. So he said to himself, "Self, there must be a better way." So he invented a flood sensor, and then he had to figure out how to be notified when he was somewhere else. So then he developed his own hub that this flood sensor would signal, and it would be connected to the internet, and then it would talk to him on the device in his pocket, known as a smartphone. So that's how one company got started called SmartThings, a company that I invested in when it was in the Kickstarter crowdfunding campaign, and actually I went to work with them for about 6 months. So let's think about where water could come from to damage our house. Of course, the kitchen has several different appliances that will have water running through them. The bathroom, needless to say, and then I call it the garage because that's where my water heater is located. So wherever your water heater is located would be a great place for a flood sensor. So leak sensors may provide a discount on your homeowner's insurance. So check with your insurance company and see if they don't give you a discount. So here I just did a quick little search. This is American Family Insurance, and they have a great article here about why you want a flood sensor and what you can do. You can get automatic shutoffs, which we'll talk about a little bit later. And then so you should check with your agent to see if they have a discount for a flood sensor. And if they don't now, you should check with them, in the future, because they may do that. So where does water come from? In the kitchen, it comes from the dishwasher, the refrigerator, the water supply to the ice maker. A good friend of mine had that happen. She was gone for 2 weeks and came back, and her whole house was flooded. It cost thousands and thousands of dollars to replace furniture. Had to tear out drywall and replace that, replace cabinets. And so it was a lot of time, a lot of money, which the insurance company paid for, but who wants to go through that? Another thing that could happen to your refrigerator is it could stop working and the freezer could defrost and leak water. And then if you have a water purifier, that is yet another source of water. So the first HomeKit device we're going to talk about is a flood sensor. So not only does it detect water leaks, it also gives you the temperature of where it is located. So if you can look here on the bottom, you'll see these two little gold probes. There's 4 of them altogether. And so when water comes up high enough, which is not very high, probably, 1/16 of an inch, maybe less, and 2 of these make contact with water, then it sends a signal to the system that lets you know that there is a flood and you need to do something about it. So anything that you buy to work with your home app should have this label on it. Works with HomeKit and the little home label here, logo. So just as a reminder of what other things this device will do, this is the back of the actual box. So it does leak detection. It also allows you to put this sensor in places where you may not see, like behind a washing machine, with that you don't see back there. It can be tied into an automatic shutdown system, so when it senses a leak, it shuts the water down to your entire house. It will also interface with a thermostat so that when it senses a temperature that's too low, it will turn up the heat. If your cat plays with it, it will let you know that. It has a anti-tampering switch on it. And then it also will alert you to freezing conditions, so you can do something about that. And we don't have too many people here with floor heating, but it could control that. And it can work with any other device in the HomeKit system. So it does leak detection, freeze warning, and signals the thermostat are the primary functions of this Flabaro flood sensor. So how do you set one of these devices up? So we're going to show you how to do that right now. So most of these devices, you have to download an additional app from the manufacturer. So In this case, we downloaded the Fibaro app and we just followed the steps. Okay, so I'm just going to narrate this little video. So there is the Fibaro app.
Have the flood
and
sensor.
I want this other one to start. There we go. So
we twist the top off.
We've got
Here is the battery.
So watch each one of these with a separate eyeball.
So it's a CR123A battery. So all we have to do is pull out the little insulator piece of paper here, and you should have seen the red light come on, which is always a good sign. So now we will go back to the app.
Okay, so on the right hand side you can see that it's a CR123A battery, which are easy to come by. So now we're in the Fibaro app and it sees my ecobee thermostat, but now we have to add a device by hitting the little plus sign in the upper right. So it's already found the Fibaro, and now we have a simple way to put it into motion here. So on the back of the instruction book is a little rectangle with some numbers in it. So in a second you're going to see that the Fibaro app will turn on the iPhone camera and it will grab that number and then it will identify it for the HomeKit app. There it goes, and it will add it. So you can see how quick that happens. Bam! So it's connecting the accessory, which it says it may take a few minutes, but it only takes very few seconds. So here we are with the Fibaro app. So the kitchen is not listed here, so we're going to add a room. Here at the bottom, add a new room. And so kitchen is there. We clicked on kitchen. It named it flood. I thought I'd be cute here and call it flooding from the suggestion here above the keyboard. But what happened when I did that was that it inserted an extra space after the G, and the system didn't like that extra space, so I got an error. So now I just backspaced 3, which I should have backspaced 4. So now it's called Flood Eye, as in rhymes with Jedi. So this is just recapping what it does. It senses leaks, temperature, and the condition of the battery on the leak sensor. And that battery, by the way, should last for at least a year, probably 2 years, because it's not really doing much, and its circuit is designed so it doesn't draw much until it gets a connection. So just saying the accessory has been added. It's in the kitchen. It's called Flood Eye, and it has the leak, temperature, and battery sensing. So now we're going to go back to the main page, or maybe we're done here. Finish. Okay, we finished. Okay, so the app that maybe you didn't know you had. So on all iPhones, iPads that were manufactured in the last, I don't know, 3 or 4 years, maybe even longer, they came from the factory with a little app called Home, with that little golden house. Since Mojave came out, and any newer Mac operating systems, they also added the Home app to your Mac. So you can control it from your Mac or your iPhone or your iPad. So we're going to go into demo mode here in a second. So a preview of coming attractions, I'm going to be tapping on the little home icon in the upper left, and then I'm going to tap on the room that we put the sensor in, which is the kitchen. So here we are. So here's the Home app in the 3rd row, 4th column. Again, it's the little gold house. It says Home right underneath here. So as I touch that, this is the main screen of the Home app. So let's talk about what we're seeing on the screen here. So from the factory, it comes with these 5 scenes. So scenes are automations. These are things that you can edit, you can delete, you can add different scenes. So let's just talk about 2 scenes here. For example, when you leave home, it could be programmed to turn lights off, turn down the thermostat, anything you want to have not working while you're gone. And then when you arrive home, you would turn up the lights, turn on the thermostat to a comfortable level. So that's just one example of scenes, and we'll get to that in a later episode. So down here where it says favorite accessories, you can see these are my accessories that I've chosen to add to the screen. I can add anything there I want. So I have the Ecobee thermostat, the Apple TV, and a pair of HomePods. So let's just click on the little home icon in the upper left hand corner, the little silhouette, and we're going to click on the kitchen. You can see I have 4 rooms set up at the moment, and I can add rooms as well. So now we're in the kitchen, and it sees the leak detector. So now if we tap on the leak detector, it's just giving us a status. It's ready. There's no leaks. The battery level is 100%. It is active. It's not being tampered with. And it is located in the kitchen. Now down here under room, it says add automation. So this is where we would add an automation. For example, we would be able to connect this to another sensor, for example, a water shutoff. So if the leak was sensed, it would tell the automatic water shutoff to automatically shut off, so your house wouldn't be flooded. So that's basically the way that works. We're just going to back out of here. We can now either hit home in the upper left hand corner or the lower left hand corner, and we're back to our home screen. So that's how simple it is to set up the home screen, the home app I should say, which could reside on your home screen on your iPad or iPhone. So a lot of times we might want to, maybe we don't want to automate the thermostat, for example. We just want to control it while we're out of the house. So in order to control something while we're out of the house, we need a HomeKit hub. So there are several devices that can serve as a HomeKit hub. First is the Apple TV. Then we have the HomePod, an iPad, and some newer flat screen TVs also have a HomeKit hub capability inside their circuitry. So be aware of that. You may already have that in a newer TV set. So this is the Apple TV with the new remote, which a lot of people like that new design. Of course, here are the HomePod Minis, which are the only HomePods that are in production right now. And they now come in 5, count them, 5 beautiful colors. So if you're going to use an iPad, my suggestion would be to mount it on a wall for 2 reasons. Number 1, everybody knows where it is because it's always going to be mounted on the wall in the same place. Number 2, that way you can ensure that it's getting continuous power, because if you just throw it on the coffee table and you don't use it for a couple days, the batteries run down and you're out of the house and you can't control anything because your HomeKit hub, being an iPad, has no battery power. So if you're going to use an iPad, you've got an old iPad laying around that nobody's using, this is a great use for it. So when you're away, you need the HomeKit hub. It needs to be an always-on device. And another advantage of this is that when you leave a HomeKit hub behind and you don't use your iPhone as your hub, then it allows access to other people in the house. Could be other family members that don't have an iPhone, could be guests, could be elderly people so they can talk to the HomePod, using Siri and tell devices to do things, or they could go up to the iPad mounted on the wall and control things without having any other device. So let's see if there's any questions. There's a delay between the time you type in the questions and the time I see them. I would like to pay respect to the people that died on December 7th when Pearl Harbor was attacked. This is the memorial in Hawaii. You can see the submerged outline of the USS Arizona, a battleship that was sunk during that time. And I have visited this memorial, and I had a very profound emotional experience. I have never sensed what I sensed there before or since. And so the USS Arizona was one of the ships that went down. So let's give a moment of remembrance to the people that died at Pearl Harbor. In addition to that, today, Hawaii is experiencing torrential rain. Rain as much as 2 feet in some areas, 15 inches in a lot of areas, and they are probably in a disaster situation right now, according to the predictions that I read a few hours ago. So think of the people currently in Hawaii, because they are dealing with more water than their infrastructure can handle at one time. Okay, so questions. Glad to see Judy and Kurt are here. And I think maybe Mary is here too. Mary just got into the home automation game with some devices she's installed in her house, or actually added to her Ring doorbell. So if I don't see any other questions, let me give you a few reminders. So again, you want to be looking for the label, works with HomeKit, if you buy any devices that you want to use with your home app. And you may be wondering, well, what other devices are there? Well, if you go to the Apple HomeKit website, which the link is noted in the description down below, so you can read that at your leisure. If we start here at the top, I draw your attention to the left-hand column where it says product type. So one product type is called a bridge. So what a bridge does is some devices don't have direct HomeKit compatibility. So they have a controller, and so what the bridge does is make them HomeKit compatible. So cameras are another one. There's a couple of cameras now that work with HomeKit, and the privacy of the video captured by those cameras is the best in the industry. Doorbells, of course, are very handy to find out when you get a package or when someone comes to your door. Light bulbs, let's talk about light bulbs for a second. So unless you want to have a disco going on in your living room, I recommend not buying light bulbs, but buying light switches that you would replace the existing switch in your wall. That way you have control of the light, and anybody can come up and turn on and off the wall switch. If you have a smart bulb in a lamp fixture, for example, someone comes over and turns off the light at the lamp, you've lost control of it. So think light switches, not light bulbs, unless you want to party on. So the next category is locks. Let me just give you a couple examples how I use locks. So I have the door between my garage and my home has a lock on it that automatically locks when I leave the house and automatically unlocks when I return. And the way it knows that is because it senses my iPhone. My front door also has a automation lock on it, but that's on a security screen door. The second door, the wood or whatever it's made of, fiberglass door, has a regular lock. So I can unlock the wood door and give someone a code to unlock the security door so someone can come in and work on my house when I'm not there, or I can just, remotely open that door if they give me a call. And so I know when they came in, when they left, and I have cameras in the house, excuse me, so I know what they're doing when they're inside. Outlets, we're going to talk about that next week, so I'll keep that until then. You can also control sprinklers, sensors for doors and windows, switches we just talked about, and of course thermostats, which is one of the, I would say that the first thing that you should do with a HomeKit system is the leak sensor. Then the second thing probably would be a light switch or a light module to control a lamp. And then the third thing would be a thermostat, because it will save you money. It'll pay for itself over probably a year or so. Okay, so just a couple of reminders here to forward the GoFor Gazette to your friends and neighbors, family, anybody that uses a Mac, and subscribe. Now, in the newsletter in the GoFor Gazette this last Monday, I asked for your help to get up to 100 subscriptions, because when that happens, YouTube makes our videos available to more people. It shows up in their feed. So right now we have 82 subscribers. So some people have been helping out, getting subscriptions. I think I had 74 last week, so we're making good progress. So the goal would be to have 100 by the end of the year, end of December. So hopefully we are going to make that goal. So, back to questions. Let's see what we got here. So, Susan asks, if you want to sense the refrigerator, the dishwasher, and the faucet, you'd have to have 3 sensors in the kitchen. No, I don't think so, because, it depends on how your kitchen's laid out. In my kitchen, for example, it's a small kitchen. The refrigerator is here, and the sink is here, and the dishwasher is here. So there's like 6 feet maximum between them. So I just put it in front of the dishwasher, because experience has taught me that maybe the dishwasher will be the first thing to leak. But it's also right next to it's right between the sink and the dishwasher. So if the sink runs over or the water purifier leaks, it's going to catch that. And if the refrigerator, I don't have an ice maker in my refrigerator, so I don't have the water line going to the refrigerator. But that is something you got to remember, because my friend, that's what happened to her. So I would say just one in the kitchen. It's going to come to the floor, and the sensor's going to get it. And Susan adds that those devices that Apple sells, right, not all possible compatible devices. Yes, so not all devices are HomeKit compatible. More and more, you're going to see devices that are compatible with Amazon's voice assistant, whose name I will not say, and with Google's Home Assistant, and with SmartThings, which is using either Zigbee or Z-Wave technology. And there's a new standard, another new standard coming out that is called Thread, and actually now it's called Matter. And Apple and Google and Amazon are all part of that. So we think in the next years to come, devices will be pretty much compatible with anything. So as longer time goes on, the more compatible devices you're going to find that work with HomeKit. Diana, hi, says, good info. Okay, I'm glad that you enjoyed that. And Susan says, where does the sensor go? On the floor, exactly. It goes right on the floor. It has those little, it actually has those little, it has 4 little brass sensors that are just barely off the floor. So as soon as the water hits that, it alerts you that there's a problem. So that's exactly where it goes. Okay, well, great. Well, thank you all for joining. Have a good rest of your week, and I will see you next Tuesday at high noon.